Hey guys, Jeremy with Glassworks. I want to talk to you today for our furnace side chat about some unhelpful things that are often said in a glass shop. And this is tangentially related to that video I did a few weeks ago about bad behavior and bullying in the glass shop. So I wanted to kind of circle back around to a few points that I missed because I don't do a script, I sort of just do a stream of consciousness, and I've tried scripts, they don't work for me. It feels very wooden and very rehearsed, so I don't like to do that. But I want to touch on some things that are often said in glass shops that aren't really helpful. And I'll just give you a few quick examples. About 2 years into blowing glass, I was working on a piece, and the person who was working with me had a few more years of experience, and I had opened the vessel that I was working on a little wider than I meant to. It went past the point of the ratios looking nice, right? The lip was way too wide. And I said, man, I really need to choke this back. How do I do that? And he looked at the piece and he looked at me and he's like, you can't. And, you know, I said, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just finish it. And I finished the piece and I moved on with my day. But to this day, I still don't know if what he meant was, it's not possible, or you don't know how and I can't teach you, or I don't know how and I can't teach you. Because it absolutely is possible to choke back the opening of a vessel if you've opened it too far. There's a few different ways to do it depending on how far it's open, how thick it is, how far along in the process you are. There's a lot of things to keep in mind, but it is definitely doable. So if he had just articulated better what he meant, then I might have taken a different lesson away than it's just not possible. Now, years later, I stumbled upon the right answer, but at that time, I was led to believe it's just not possible. Another simpler example, not something that was said to me, but something I've heard in a shop, was somebody simply asked, how can I fix this? I keep making this mistake. And the answer was, get good. That's not helpful. That doesn't help anyone. If you don't know how to tell someone how to improve on the mistakes they're making when they're asking for help, be honest and say that, but don't be dismissive. And that was a very dismissive thing to say. And the final example I'd like to give is one that has stuck with me since the very first day I stepped into a glass shop. 16 years ago, I walked into a glass shop. It wasn't the studio in which I learned, but I was with that glassblower. We went to visit another shop, and while the two Glassworks were discussing some projects and maybe shop time rental and things like that, I can't remember the details of why we were there, but I was looking at the tools on the bench, and I had familiarized myself with the basic tools. I knew the jacks and the diamond shears and tweezers and straight shears and Sophies, and I knew all the basics. But there was a tool on the bench, I didn't know what it was. And when they had a moment, I said, excuse me, can you, what is this? And the artist whose studio we were visiting looked at me and he goes, well, if you don't know what it is, you don't need to know what it is. And that stuck. I mean, it really set with me that he didn't want to talk to me, that he thought I was nobody, that I wasn't worth his time. And it was very, very dismissive, and I let it go. Now, 5 years later, I figured out what that tool was. I was in a museum, and I saw a piece on display. It was an onion bottle, and it had two wraps. And one wrap was a very standard wrap, and the other one had a bevel to it. And I couldn't figure out for a few minutes how that was made. It was too clean to have just been used at the back of the jacks, and then it clicked. That tool popped into my head, and I was like, oh, that must be what that is. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was a Copa. I had never bothered to look and see what that was, but it was a tool that, you know, yeah, at the time, I didn't need to know what it was because there was no way I could have effectively used it. And I think that's what that glassblower was trying to say. He was trying to tell me, look, you can't use this yet. You don't need to bother with this. But he did it in such a dismissive way that it wasn't good. Right? That's not how you should teach. And I'm sure in his mind, he wasn't teaching me. That's not why I was there. That's not why he was there. But this gets to the heart of why I wanted to circle back around to that other video. And that is that in a glass shop, unless you are in that shop alone, you are always teaching something. If you are working with an assistant, or if you are assisting someone else, if you're performing in front of an audience, or if you're actually teaching a student, it doesn't matter. Your actions will inform other people on how to behave in a glass shop. And that might just be technique. oh, look at the way he's holding his tools, or look at how she's trimming that piece. I've never thought of doing it that way. And it could be as simple as if you're performing for an audience and they say, well, where do you get your glass from? Or how do you make color? The detail in which you answer those questions and the mentality you have as you respond to people really is important, because you are teaching what's to be expected in a glass shop. If it is a layperson who's just observing and they ask a question and you're dismissive, they're going to take away from that experience that all glass shops are like that, and that glassblowers are rude and unhelpful. And that's not the world I want to show to other people. I want people to be able to enjoy glass, to enjoy what we do. So just remember, guys, when you're in a glass shop, that every moment is a teaching moment. You can always learn from someone, and you're always teaching someone. I don't care if you have 30 years of experience and you bring in a student who's only been blowing glass for 2 years, you might be able to learn something from them. Probably not a whole lot, and probably not a lot of useful things, but even if it's just, a new type of music to listen to while you're working, or a new way to look at something, or a new idea about color theory, there's always new things to learn. There's always something new to teach. So just keep that in mind. That was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot.